But we do have, as the NFL news always continues to spin and people got to make content, so we've got roster rankings that are coming out from all over the place. And it is interesting because, I think most Bears fans are optimistic. Minimum 9 wins, maybe 10, could get to 11, going to be a playoff team. This is the year where the Flus/Poles regime takes a major jump from 3 to 7 to however many wins playing in the playoffs. But the NFL, despite being impressed with the Bears, the experts are putting the Bears in the second half of teams. They have them 17th out of 32. I'll just rip through them real quick. 49ers, Chiefs, Ravens, Jets are 4. That's super optimistic that Aaron Rodgers is going to stay healthy.
Old roster. Yep.
Lions are 5th, and I think a general consensus as the extreme. I would say as the consensus favorite in the North, followed by the Cowboys, the Bengals, the Texans, the Bills, the Eagles, the Dolphins, the Browns. Packers are 13, so there's your second place finisher in the North. Rams, Jaguars, Seahawks, super interesting. Where are they behind the Seahawks? And then the Bears. So thoughts, team. Let's hear them.
I'm surprised how far the Packers are down that list. I mean, aren't we? I mean, to me, the NFC North is one of the best divisions in football, right? Like, it looks like it could be one of the more.
It could have 3 playoff teams.
Yeah,
maybe. I guess the better wording isn't best divisions in football, but maybe one of the more competitive
for sure. Yeah,
divisions in football.
So you think the Packers should be even higher on the list from 13?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I mean, the Browns seem a little high there. I know their defense is very good. They got a good run game.
And Nick, you put the list in. Which list did you pick from this one? Is this the ESPN list?
This is from ESPN, yeah. So they couple contributors worked on this to kind of get the rankings and how they kind of did it for each team. They have the biggest strength of the roster, the biggest weakness, X factor, and then a non-starter to know.
Okay, and so just to recap, from the North, Lions are 5, Packers are 13, Bears are 17, the Vikings are 23rd. They write for the Bears, biggest strength, wide receiver. That we haven't had that since the Brandon Marshall, Alshon Jeffrey days. Yep. And they write, in a matter of 2 off seasons, Chicago has gone from having one of the league's shakiest wide receiver rooms to having perhaps the best. That's a big-time comment right there, but I'd say top 5. Last year, DJ Moore's acquisition proved extremely savvy as he posted career best marks in receptions, 96, yards, 1,385, touchdowns, 9. This offseason, the Bears traded for Keenan Allen. You might have heard of him. And drafted Rome.
I'd put the Bears. I mean, I'd be willing to try to put them up against the Rams, Jaguars, or Seahawks. Maybe it's a thin margin with them 14, 15, 16, 17 here all stacked together. But, like, just on the surface of knowing those teams without having, like, the deep dive of each roster, I mean, who's to say the Bears aren't better? I know I'm kind of different. I'm, like, having trouble between roster rankings and who I think is the better team. So that certainly, I think, is up for debate at the very least. And then I also think the Jets are, not to go, like, I'm all over the place here because I think I'm going to pass out from the smell of this permanent marker. I literally might. It's literally, I'm, like, hallucinating
You were, like,
right now.
in there. Like,
no, but, like, right now, it's, like, punching.
Keep that over there.
And I think I might pass out
Could be
here
good for us.
in
Keep
B-Ball.
going. One more sniff.
One more sniff.
The Jets and the I'm all over the place here, but I also have to say the Jets as number 4. Are they really that stacked?
Well, the NFL seems to think that they are because they're on TV.
Of course they do.
But I think that, listen, Aaron missed the entire season last year, and the Jets were right there, at least for a good portion of it, to still be, at least in the conversation, to be a playoff team. So you're betting on a big-ass season. You also added Hassan Reddick. So, I mean, there's,
Yeah, so, I mean, the Jets, they have their biggest strength as the cornerback room. Sauce Gardner. They have DJ Reed, X Factor. They did get Tyron Smith, a veteran left tackle from Dallas. You have You have Olu Fashanu as well. So they have a pretty good offensive line.
Breece Hall's probably a top 3 running back in the game right now.
Yeah, so, I mean, I guess longevity-wise, I mean, they would be in a completely different category. But going into maybe the 2024 season, I could see it.
That D is real, and look, this is not going to be a popular take, but what are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at Steven for what you said.
The D is real.
Oh, everybody's got their head in the pants on this show. Not me. I just say
really?
things.
No, you are not saying that.
Yeah,
Okay, fine.
you of all people.
All right. I don't want to have a whole who's got their head in the pants further debate. That's uncomfortable for everybody. Okay, so look, my point is this. Bet against Aaron Rodgers at your own peril. And it's fine. It's fine. You want to say he's done coming off an Achilles tear, switching teams, doing weird stuff off the field as per always. Now, I don't know, is he angling to be the president of the United States someday? Whatever the hell's going on over there. You can it's the most comfortable time that you can bet against Aaron, but you're still talking about
What, a
one of the
Super or MVP?
Yeah, you're talking about one of one of the most talented players to ever play the toughest position in sports. Period. End of story. And it's not debatable. So, but maybe they're getting a little too much love. What do you think?
Four? That's high.
Yeah. What do you? It is. What do you think of the contention that the Bears' biggest strength on the roster is the wide receiver room? Anybody want to argue that?
No, I think it's a good argument. I mean, at last year I would probably said linebackers.
That's the one position that maybe you would argue,
way.
like linebacker or wide receiver.
I think secondary is starting to make a push.
That's true. Yeah, the
I
cornerback
think secondary is legit. I mean, they led the league in interceptions last year with 22. The majority of those coming in the second half of the season once they got Montez Sweat. So I think once they got a pass rush, it was a better indicator of exactly what the secondary was, who Jalen Johnson actually is. That's why he got paid. There was questions, is he a top 10 corner in this league? Well, once you got him one pass rusher, he showed that. Imagine if you get him two.
Yeah.
Now you've got Tyreek Stevenson in his second year, who I'm really excited for, who we all are really excited for. Kyler Gordon going into his third year. Hopefully he starts the year healthy, unlike last year, which he obviously had the
first
tough
game of the
injury,
season.
which threw everything off because he was primed to have a big second year. Jaquan Brisker, obviously you hope he stays healthy, but the talent is there. Kevin Byard comes in as the savvy veteran. I know I'm just naming all the players, but I'm just saying.
Very good. You got him right.
Yeah. But I overall, then you talk about the depth behind that, Terrell Smith.
I think it's sweet, though, you can at least have a solid debate on it because I'm, been going back in my mind on it. Well, because I always want to push back, newsflash, and say that that's wrong, this is right, I'm Carm, I'm smarter than you. But high-end talent, it's the receiver room over the cornerback room. Jalen Johnson can fight us on that. But, you're talking about Keenan Allen keeps going, got a chance to be in the Hall of Fame. Same thing with DJ. Rome's been lighting it up. You don't have a lot of depth. After that, it falls off a cliff. So you can say that, okay, like Byard and company have a little, at the 4, 5, 6, maybe you feel a little bit more comfortable with the secondary. And maybe even, but on the top end, you got to give it to the wide receivers.
Yeah, and to maybe push back on that is like, so you're going to take the Bears' 3 wide receivers, who we just mentioned, over most teams are going to probably have 2 linebackers on the field because you're going to be in a nickel package most of the time. So Tremaine Edmonds, T.J. Edwards. T.J. Edwards should have been, an all-pro last year. And Tremaine Edmonds, I think, was coming along later in the season. So I think, again, it's good that the Bears at least are having these conversations. But wide receiver room is the strongest. I'd put linebacker right up there with the cornerback room, just in terms of the 2 guys that you're going to see primarily on the field. And one of the guys they put in the article, the non-starter note, is Jack Sanborn.
Right.
So as a very quality guy that when you get into those 3 linebacker sets, you know what you're going to get out of Sanborn every single time. So,
and that's not even to mention Noah Sewell.
Yeah, so you have some depth there as well.
He's going to be in his second year, so give him an opportunity now that he's dug his feet into the league a little more. But I think Carm said it right. Top end, the wide receiver room is they're elite.
Yep.
But if you're going to talk about depth, it might be linebacker or probably more so even secondary because we didn't even mention the safety they got from Green Bay.
Owens.
Yeah.
Great lineage right there. What they write about Jack Sangod, the Bears used base personnel 23% of the time last season, and third linebacker Sanborn was excellent against the run. His average run game tackle came at 2.5 yards, was ranked 5th among off-ball linebackers. He also had a sack and good metrics when he had to play in pass coverage. Unleash the sand god, damn it.
Mark, if they unleash the sand god, he's probably not going to be with the Bears next season. This is
Fair
last
point.
year.
Fair point. Somebody might step up and pay the god.
I think so. That'd be unfortunate.
Yeah, and I don't want to skip over their X factor because we got to get Caleb in here.
Yep.
That's the X factor, and I think they're damn right about that. Forgive the obvious selection, but the Bears have a wide range of outcomes, and it all hinges on Williams. This is about Caleb. Memo. This is the season is about the quarterback.
Is that directed to somebody? Oh,
So quit trying to say it's not about Caleb. Listen to Carm.
Thank you, Greg. Good to have you on my team for a minute.
Gotcha. Back. It's about Caleb.
If he can
You
hit the
idiot wakeboarder.
if he can hit the ground running in the NFL, then the upside for this team is high because of all the parts around him on offense. But the team won't run without him, so that roster will be for naught if he comes along slowly. Anybody disagree with any of that?
No. I think that's spot on. I mean, look, it all is on. It's not all on Caleb's shoulders, but he plays such a huge factor of what this season could be for the Bears. What he can do in the passing game, what we're projecting him to do in the passing game, should open up things.
Right,
for
because the
offense.
quarterback is going to define the success of the players around him on offense.
And that's for every team, honestly. Every
it goes
team.
without saying. But, for players that aren't sure about Braxton Jones, when it's the chicken or the egg discussion of trying to figure out what the issues are. We've gone through this year after year after year. Is it the offensive line? Is it the play calling? Is it the quarterback? Is it the receivers? And to me, once your quarterback is the ship, the tide that lifts all ships, maybe we do get a better – just the way Montez Sweat gave an indicator of how good Jalen Johnson is, can Caleb Williams do the same for Braxton Jones or Tyler Scott, and players of that nature that we have questions about, but maybe you put a little more talent to help them out, now all of a sudden we find out who they really are.
We all silly like the mayor.